Just a quick word about our firm. So we've been in the payment space for about 28 years. I've seen all aspects of it. I've done work on every continent. And you'll hear in PEZA, which was mentioned earlier by Leon, we did actually the original feasibility study on business system that's quite near to us. And that was sort of our induction into the mobile payments, and more specifically as it relates to PEZA, the mobile money world. And we've really seen a lot of radical changes in the last, this is now 7, 8 years old, so coming up close to the last decade. When you think about the state of mobility at a global level, it all starts about devices and connectivity. And so just taking them to an extraordinarily high macro level, we have a global population of about 7 billion people. About 6.7 have some type of device and or one or more mobile subscriptions. So as you can imagine, there is a concentration that's disproportionate to carrying multiple devices. Nevertheless, that results in about 4.5 billion distinct mobile user subscribers. So it's a fairly substantial number by comparison to the global population. As you might imagine, the penetration is largely skewed in the developed nations. Sorry. Okay, back closer. It's largely skewed to the more developed nations, Central Europe, Western Europe, North America. North America is a tad on the low side, largely because the area of Mexico has not quite achieved the level of penetration as North America has, i.e. the U.S. and Canada. However, you see tremendous growth opportunities, and you still see a fairly high scale of ubiquity in places like China, Africa, India, and other global developing nations. So, there is connectivity, and there are many, many devices on the market today. As it relates specifically to payments, in 2013, there were about $160 billion in mobile payments spread across about 250 million mobile payment users. The vast majority of those were money transfers. That's simply the act of one person sending money to another. That represented about 71% of that $163 billion. Merchandise purchases was the next sort of leader in that space, followed by bill payments and NFC payments. I think the thing that's most encouraging about this slide is in the next few years, you're going to see the amount of mobile users almost double, and the amount of mobile payments in the form of dollars almost quadruple, representing about a 35% year-over-year growth in mobile payments adoption. So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to play in this market, to be a disruptor, to be an innovator, or to be sort of a legacy system that innovates and can create new opportunities to gain some of that market share of this sort of rapidly exploding market. If you start thinking about it by region, I think this was alluded to earlier in the discussion, it's highly diverse, right? As you might imagine, you're starting to see fairly substantial mobile commerce and mobile growth at the point of sale, as Enrique mentioned earlier, in places like Western Europe. That's largely led by the card schemes, the card networks, and the MNOs. North America, we're the most technology and technically sophisticated nation in the world, the U.S. in particular, and we still do not use a whole lot of mobile devices to make payments. Many of us are still, myself included, very comfortable just taking out a credit card and swiping it or paying something with dirty green paper. So you have not seen the tremendous uptick, and that's largely because there's not a tremendous amount of necessity or drivers in the market today, which we're going to talk about in a couple of slides, to sort of fuel the type of rapid growth you're seeing in other parts of the world. You're seeing strong growth in Asia led by Alipay, which you're seeing more and more of as a result of the recent Alibaba IPO filing in places like China. We're starting to see substantial growth in places like Singapore, South Korea, and India. And then lastly, probably not entirely unexpected, Africa still sort of leads the market in global payments as it relates to a peer-to-peer transaction, led by M-Pesa. M-Pesa did about $254 million. I'm sorry, that was the yield to Safaricom last year. M-Pesa represents about 30%, up to 35% of the ended GDP flowing across that platform. And you're starting to see similar upticks in places like Uganda and South Africa, and some of the stuff that's taking place in places like Bangladesh, we find really sort of driving this adoption in these underdeveloped nations. I was asked to sample successful players, and this is sort of smattering. This could have been any 3 companies or any 20 companies for that matter. And what I tried to do is give an example of somebody you're familiar with, somebody you may have heard of, and somebody you may not be as familiar with, just to show you sort of the room in the market for multiple players bringing in different technology and experiential users to their customer base. I'm certainly all familiar with PayPal. In 2013, they did about 27 billion mobile transactions. I think they have a very, very strong API strategy, and that's been instrumental in sort of driving that growth. As you can imagine, China is just a market on fire and exploding. There is connectivity and handsets. And Alibaba launched Alipay a couple of years ago, and the scale that that platform has gotten to is almost eye-popping. They claim, and again, not a public company, so most of this is a result of looking at their websites and third-party information, to be the world's greatest provider of payments in the mobile space, eclipsing even PayPal, and it's been reported up by 2 times. And then you see sort of startups who are innovating, being disruptive, doing new and different things. And Dawala is sort of cool that's not using the traditional rails, that sort of has developed their own infrastructure, has come up with a fee schedule to merchants that's quite attractive, or to individuals that's quite attractive. And in 5 short years has gotten to the point where we're doing about $1 billion in mobile transactions, but more importantly, reporting 15% month-over-month growth, which is pretty astounding, especially when you get to $1 billion in scale. So what's going to make the adoption of mobile success, mobile utility, mobile utilization, what's going to drive the success, the things that drive those successes? It needs to be low cost to merchants. It needs to be no cost to consumers. It needs to have acceptability, right? If you have the ability to pay for something and nobody accepts it, it sort of loses its appeal pretty darn quickly. And then